Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Smashy Business. I'm Lubna Hamdan.
And I'm Richard Fitzgerald.
And we're back from the Web Summit in Qatar.
Yeah.
It was impressive to say the least.
Yeah, we're back. We recorded live there yesterday morning, and because Qatar and Doha is so close, we're in here today, and it's still happening.
It's still happening. Today's the last day.
Yeah. We were both super impressed.
Really impressed, and it's great that they do it so well, because for journalists and media, they really give them that respect. We had a whole media village, press conferences happening in the media village, exclusive to media only. I felt really nice, Richard, being respected as a journalist as opposed to
catering from the W Hotel, and as opposed to as I joked yesterday, it's because you respect people as well, Lubna, so you get it in return. all your victims. But no, you're right. I fair played like 160 people over from Ireland. And they all walked around and they told us there's a press conference happening in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, it's on the app, but they told us who. And we switched our seats. We listened to the press conference. We went back, and really well managed. Like, and one of the acting MD of Web Summit Qatar, Adam Connan, took me around a walking tour, and he just explained like what they wanted to do that was Web Summit-esque, and how they're going to do it here, and all the different things that the considerations that took into place. It was very busy, but you weren't fighting for breathing room. You could get into talks. You could move around. You and I who find business people inspirational. The access that we had in the media space was pretty amazing. It was just pretty amazing, right?
It was incredible. Fadi Ghandour was there, Princess Lamia of Saudi was there. We bumped into Ayman Hariri.
I met some media greats. Kevin Mayer on the plane, the future CEO of Disney, the former future whatever. Yeah, now runs Canal Media, and also Robert Kinsell, who's the global CEO of Warner Music, formerly of YouTube. I just seen a photo with Mark Reed, the global CEO of WPP. They got the big names, Lubna. They really did, and they put pressure on people to come. The big business names to come, and you couldn't have but been impressed with the event.
Definitely, and you mentioned a great point. There was branding all around the city, and they really embraced that event.
Totally, yeah, and like Qatar did get behind it. They signed a 5-year deal. Sheikh Jassim had the Majlis there. They launched the $1 billion fund that we talked about at length. But what I also, we've obviously been doing Love in Doha for a couple of years now, and I don't know Doha at all relatively to Dubai. But what I like is that the new districts that they built, just like Dubai has City Walk and other places, Doha then used those destinations as canvases so they had the first night summit at Mashraib, where Sheikh Musa has a design gathering area.
Yes.
And then they had the second night summit at the Mina port, so it's more traditional and it's colourful, it's by the water. And then the third night, last night, was B12 Beach, where they had a huge drone show of Web Summit Qatar, which leaked on social media beforehand. But
no way.
Yeah, but they really, because you can't hide practicing drone shows, can you?
Exactly. I love that. No, it was amazing, and it was the largest ever gathering of startups in the Middle East. There were over 1,000 startups. 31 of those startups.
31%.
31%, are female founded.
Yeah, huge. And I want to give a shout out to my partner, Transparency. Hams Fathi has launched her own business today, hamshair.com, another female founder with an inspiration to give 2.5% profits to other female founders. And Adam, the acting MD, the lawyer for Web Summit, told me that when they launched the female track, what was it called? They had a separate stage for female entrepreneurs, females in tech. When they launched that a few years ago, that has now become its own community. And that decision to give a whole stage and programming and a whole area just for female startups to be separate to all other startups has created a whole new community within Web Summit. So it is great to see, and to see it happening in the Middle East when so many people say women don't get a fair chance here. They really do, and it's good to see that sort of alignment between Qatar and the Web Summit and and the representation of females on stages. And you know what, Lamia? I didn't feel it was forced. I didn't feel it was quota hitting.
Exactly.
You know, and some of the conferences I go to other parts of the world, like it feels like a quota. You look at the panel, there's 6 people and there's 3 men and 3 women. And it feels like you're just ticking boxes here because you're afraid of that photo that looks bad or that one comment.
That's a great point that you're making. And I think they have a better chance at making it here in the region now as opposed to the US. You know, they preach women's empowerment, but we have parking places just for pregnant women. They don't have that in the US. You know what I mean? It's those small things, from the parkings to how female founders are treated here. They are treated with respect. Sarah Al-Madani, who, you know, I have a little bit of a different opinion about her, but she did say something great the other day at another event. She said she was on the board of the Sharjah cultural. What was it? Anyways, she entered the boardroom. There were men fighting in the boardroom. She entered with a female colleague, and she said the energy just softened immediately. That's how it is in the Arab world, isn't it?
As in softened positively or
softened
negatively?
Positively. Yeah, they were fighting, they were shouting, and then as soon as the women entered,
like that. There
is that level of
respect, calm.
respect
that women deserve. You know, other people say women are more intelligent. I don't go deep on the gender stuff. I just think everyone should have a fair chance.
Absolutely.
And that number, that 31%, is good. And you know, like other metrics, like Adam again told me that on the first day, the QI Invest in Qatar, what's it called? Qatar Invest? QI?
Qatar Invest,
Yeah, so they had 100 business registrations on the first day. We were having lunch yesterday in the Media Village, sponsored by Qatar Doha Media City. And they, the gentleman and the lady beside us, asked us where we were from, and we said, well, we haven't got a license yet in Qatar.
Yeah.
We do PRO services, and we do it remotely. And they said, well, if you send an email today before you get on your flight, you're going to get this amount of discount, equivalent to $50,000 over the next 5 years, with free licensing. And that's an incentive just because of the Web Summit. They are trying to attract people there. There was an app called Snoonu. Noon in the middle, S and U at the end.
Yes.
Snoonu.
Snoonu.
Yeah, I remembered it because of N-O-O-N in the middle. Is Snoonu an Arabic word?
I have no idea because the Gulf dialect is different to
it could be a kind of a Khaliji slang. Yeah.
We need to get Ali Baba back on the show.
We need Ali Baba on the show, yeah. Is he in the background? No, but I think, there's a Qatari entrepreneur, very well spoken. They're profitable. They're a competitor to Talabat and to Deliveroo.
Yeah.
And, there's other companies that really want to, there's people, founders who are moving there, we all talk about Dubai having competition from Saudi, but hello Qatar, right?
Yes, hello Qatar.
It's the first time you growing up in Dubai, it's the first time you've been to Qatar and you were impressed.
I was really impressed. I did not expect it to be like that. It reminded me very much of Dubai. Yes, much smaller but than the UAE, but it was really impressive. The infrastructure, the architecture, even the service, the food, the restaurants. You've got like Zuma, you've got Roberto's, you've got all those places. The nightlife is really happening there as well. So it's quite
all the hotels and the
impressive.
brands. They say though that it's not as busy yet as they hope, but I think with things like this, with attracting livability and startups and stuff like that,
I would go back for a staycation.
Wow.
Honestly.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive, like, because they do have tourism offering,
Definitely.
But I was running on the Corniche and I dropped one of my headphones, one of my Beats fell out, the little things.
Yeah.
And it trickled along, those kind of nightmare moments where it trickles, you're like, oh, just pick it up, and then it keeps going, and it finds the one tiny crevice of these massive big boulders, and I didn't get it back. But what I learned was 3 fishermen, loads of fishermen out going for the morning walks. Really nice.
Right.
And all from India, and they came over and they tried to help me, and they each went to their car and back with another rod hook. We didn't get it. But one guy told me that...
Reminds me of Dubai back in the day, right? Everyone is busy now, but that's what people would have done in Dubai back in the day. I love that Doha still has that kind of authenticity and closeness. Yeah.
Yeah, and they all came to help, and I was like, I'm wasting your time, and they're like, no, I'm just going for a morning walk. I'm chill, just for fresh air. He said, and but he told me, one of the guys told me that he kind of said all the money they have here, that these boulders, this is the new Corniche. There's no Corniche. I'm not totally familiar with the landscape of Qatar, but this is the new built Corniche, and it's got big boulders, it's got the sea, it's got the bay and area, West Bay.
They worked on it before the World Cup, right?
Yeah, for the World Cup, and he said that these were a special air freight transport BA out of the UK. So the construction of the cement is a British company who won a contract,
right?
Who then, these things were heavy. 3 men couldn't move it a centimeter. All shipped in, or it's not wrong word, all airlifted in on a we'll talk about Boeing, but on an aircraft into Qatar, and basically the UK built, a UK construction company built these big slabs. Do you know what I mean? And I just thought it was quite fascinating that there's international commerce at work.
Definitely, absolutely. I want to go back to, before we talk about Boeing, I want to go back to a very special moment at the Web Summit. We were talking about women's empowerment, and Princess Lamia, Princess Lamia bint Majid Al Saud, she's related to Al Walid bin Talal, of course, and leads Al Walid Philanthropies. She was asked at a press conference how she feels about Saudi's transformation, and she called it a relief. It was an interesting choice of word. And she said, finally, for the first time, Saudi has a young leader who speaks the same language, I quote, the same language as 70% of the population. Saudi has a very young population, the majority. She said, he's making our dreams come true. And she was referring to not just women's empowerment, but she's very active in pushing for women's rights. I remember interviewing her a couple of years ago, and we had it on the cover of Arabian Business back then. And she said, where are the doctors? Where are the lawyers? All I see is influencers.
No way.
Yeah, she had a dig at influencers. Yeah. She's incredible.
That's amazing.
She's really
I think Saudi is having many different professions now. You know, but I know the point she's trying to make, that young people want to be influencers.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of influence and making a buzz on social media, Heinz. Let's talk. It's fun. It's a fun thing. You sent it to me today. Fun thing to talk about on the show. Heinz did a publicity stunt. Heinz Arabia. I love that it came from the region as well. They launched the world's first ever ketchup insurance policy to alleviate the stress and inconvenience of everyday ketchup spills, splatters, and splotches. It covers 57 different types of claims. It's brilliant. They said, we understand the emotional and physical toll of a ketchup calamity, but we also understand that if it's worth the risk, it has to be Heinz. We're going to do something similar for our sister brand, Love in Dubai.
Yeah.
Remember when I first joined, I gave you that idea.
Yeah.
And let's just say the haters are going to love it.
Yeah.
They're going to be loving it.
Yeah, exactly. No, you know, I think you're right. Like brands who are quite creative, who come up with things like they're owning it's just nice to see creative activity. There's a HeinzInsurance.com website. They're doing a lot of PR across the region. We'll put it on Smashy Business, and I think it's just creative, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really creative. I love it. Yeah, just reminds me, it's giving Mad Men vibes. I don't know why I'm speaking like Gen Z. It's been affecting me.
Well, Mad Men. You mean not? I don't think Gen Z know what Mad Men is.
No, but they use this like it's giving.
Giving vibes.
I think the producers are gonna laugh at this in the background.
Vibes. Okay, yeah, cool.
Feeling a bit old here, but anyways, speaking of old as well, one of the oldest companies for properties here in the Middle East and the UAE is Emaar Properties. They don't even need an introduction. A Russian friend of mine visiting Dubai was like, well, what is Emaar? She's like, I'm seeing the signs everywhere. And I said, well, basically they built this little city in the city called Downtown.
Yeah.
And they launched, let me get it here, let me get it right. They announced today the launch of 2 new developments, the Heights Country Club and Grand Club Resort next to the Oasis. The total development value is over $26 billion. It's a big number, but it's Emaar, so it's granted. The interesting thing is the word club. There are so many private clubs now popping up around the city. Richard, are you a member at any private club? Soho House, Arts Club?
I'm not. No.
Would you be interested? What are your thoughts on these clubs? Because some say they're really overrated, pretentious, useless.
I was just looking at how Emaar phrased that announcement. I think a city like this, I think clubs like this should be in the city. I think we were underserved for a long time. You know, like you talked about the chess club, and you know the one that I went to in Al Habtar City. When Arts Club was announced, people thought, oh, this is going to flop.
Yeah.
Because Capital Club was flopping. We didn't think, every hotel and every golf club is like a members club. Why would you, and every restaurant is as fancy and as exclusive, why would you pay extra?
Right.
In cities like London where you don't have much exclusivity, you just have sort of like dingy bars and nice restaurant, but you don't. So Soho House worked, and Home House and all these different clubs work. And in Dublin, it was a little bit more like aristocratic, elderly gentlemen and billiards tables and stuff like that. And expat wise, like in Hong Kong and I remember being in a members club in Nairobi once, and oh my god, like it was way too expat-y, like it was only white people. Really? It was like bowls on the lawn. It was like stale and old, like built by Brits in the 70s. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like when I moved here first, I didn't want that, and I like that Dubai doesn't have that.
Right.
There are some polo clubs, but I like that the members clubs now are a little bit more sophisticated, as you'd expect in New York or London. And I'm glad that it took Dubai that long to have an offering that people of a certain affluency, let's call it that.
Absolutely.
Because they're pricey, right? But I was just on a podcast with Marcus Smith from Inner Fight, and what he's created over in Dubai, Motor City, Studio City, somewhere over there. So he's basically created something that is like a members club. There's a cafe upstairs, there's a gym and things like that. And, for me, that's what I would look for, something that's a little bit more, as I mentioned before, a morning members club than a nighttime one. But just explain. So I was trying to look up the press release. So what have Emaar done? Like if you own Emaar property, are you automatically a member, or is it a certain area?
That information is not out yet. It's pretty basic. It was literally announced just a couple of hours ago. It's two developments: the Heights Country Club and Grand Club Resort next to the Oasis, which is one of their new developments as well.
I know where that is. Yeah. They had one of the big Bollywood stars at the opening, Shah Rukh Khan, Hamid Al launched it with his daughter a few months ago, and it's actually the development. So if you think of like where we are now in Production City, and then you've got Jumeirah Golf Estates, and behind there's an empty desert plot,
right? And
more to the left you've got Talal Al Gaf and some of the lagoons and Damak, but there's a huge big area there that he's just kind of gone, I'm going to build amazing Emaar villas and townhouses.
I'm looking forward to it. I hope the prices drop by the time they're done with that development.
Yeah.
The real estate prices.
Most people say, like, we had Rizwan Sajan on, you had him at the event recently, and most people think there's another 15% growth in the market. That's what those people are saying, but they would say that, wouldn't they? Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. People are saying a lot of things. A lot of things are happening. One of the big stories everyone is talking about is the CEO of Ryanair didn't mince his words when he spoke about Boeing. He said there is a shit show going on in Seattle, which is where Boeing is based. He's frustrated with delays in getting new planes from the carrier because of safety issues. There was that crash a couple of weeks ago. Emirates, Sir Tim Clark, said it was their last chance for Boeing, but he said it's still fixable. With Michael O'Leary of Ryanair saying they keep giving us optimistic broken promises, and then a week or 2 weeks later it turns out the reality is worse. We don't really know how many aircraft we're going to get from Boeing. I bet you Emirates will come out with a statement sooner rather than later again about Boeing. People are frustrated with them, and they're not holding their punches. Like they don't mind burning bridges. They're saying like, we're losing out here. Like Ryanair have to increase their prices 10%, cut flight routes. Imagine if your supplier wasn't able to give you what you wanted. And I don't know, Lubna, how close you cover aviation. There was a lady at the media section beside us yesterday with Bloomberg, and she handles the aviation sector. And I know people go deep on it. In this region you can, because we've got flagship carriers. But from the outside looking in, if you've got a duopoly who supply the world's airlines with airplanes, namely Boeing and Airbus, then where's the third supplier? Exactly. I think Sir Tim Clark spoke about that as well a couple of years ago. I can't remember exactly what he said, but yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, right? And that's why that's why Boeing is getting away with so much, right? These crashes, it wasn't a one-time, two-time thing. They've had multiple, a series of... It's been a mess for a while, yeah.
Totally.
They've had to recall aircraft, and I think one type of aircraft that they launched, which was supposed to compete with Airbus. I don't have my facts, but I think they pulled that one. But I remember reading at length in some of the good international business journals about something a few years ago at that. But like, yeah, there's these issues, and it just points towards more innovation in transport. We're looking at air taxis here. We're just looking at other things. Like, it just points to more things. And you're seeing Apple this week announce that they've scrapped plans to launch their own car because they can't get as much value out of that than they can with the other things, and they're going deeper in AI. But if you're a manufacturing company, and if this region is into manufacturing, who knows what will come in the future?
Yeah, maybe from Saudi. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they're opening factories for Lucid for the cars. Like, I'm sure China. I'm surprised. Like, I'm sure there's other planes. We should have an expert on someday to talk about like aircraft leasing, freight, and aircraft in general. But definitely. Definitely the two biggest companies in the world that have most of the business, from a Ryanair to an Emirates, is Boeing and Airbus. Airbus being French, the European flight, and Boeing being American. But we just need one from the Middle East and one from Asia, and then it's four playing field. And good luck to those old parts of the world. Joking. So, but yeah, just Michael O'Leary. He's not that well known in this part of the world. Ryanair aren't that well known. I'm sure people who've travelled here in Europe know that they're a low-cost carrier, and he's quite famous in my neck of the woods. What did you say in Arabic? Would you understand this word if I say Manteti? No? My turf? No? Okay.
Mantikti.
Mantikti. Okay.
Yeah, great.
New word I learned this week. So in Ireland, in my neck of the woods, Michael Leary's a legend because of what he did with Ryanair, and he really doesn't mince his words. He's very, very aggressive.
Yeah, and it's so much fun to watch. Not fun what's happening with Boeing, but I mean, it's just it's refreshing to see, because so many people are media trained, and it's quite frustrating, isn't it? So it's fresh and raw to see that, and it's fun. One quick news story before we go. A top UAE official just announced literally 2 hours ago that people in the UAE on visit visas should be able to work. It's a big announcement. And it's great. Like, Dubai is just making it easier and easier for people to come here. They're going full throttle on everything. Not just Dubai, Doha, Riyadh. It's an incredible time to be alive and to witness this transformation.
You say that though, but I think that right now, still Doha, it's hard. It's hard to get into Doha. Like, they do the Haya app, but like.
Is it? It was quite easy with the Haya app, wasn't it?
For us, yeah, but like if you're from subcontinent Asia to go and live in Doha to get in, it's still relatively controlled. I don't know the exact details, but I know one of our employees here, her family is based there, and they're not Qatari, and like it's still hard to get in for her, right? Like they're still quite strict on checks and everything. But yeah, the variety of the visas, UAE's advanced because it's been announcing new visas for a long time. Yeah. And this is just another potential one that could be cool. There's huge demand. Casey was at an event last night, an Irish Business Network event, and the Trevor McFarlane, who runs Emir Boardroom, well-known economic think tank in Dubai, with a lot of CEOs attending. He spoke anecdotally, and he said he was in Dublin and someone knocked on his door. He said, "How do I get out of here? How do I get out of this city? And like, how do I get to Middle East?" And like, it is that sort of like, you could cliche and call it an American dream, but like, there is demand for people to come and work from here. People feel that the economy is growing and they have equal opportunity.
Definitely. Nobody wants to go to the US. There was a company that announced that they're looking to, Shein is looking to move their IPO from the US to the London Stock Exchange.
But I saw that, but I still don't get like why. I mean, obviously they're bigger capital markets and there's more liquidity, but why are there so many Chinese listed companies on the Nasdaq and the New York Stock Exchange? Like,
good question. We should get an expert to talk about that as well.
Yeah, ask Waleed Shahabi when he's on.
Yeah, we're having Waleed Shahabi with us next week. We didn't have him next Wednesday, every Wednesday. We didn't have him because we were in Qatar. Thank you guys for listening. Stay tuned for the guest interview with Saif Al-Hakim. He was a high-level exec at Samsung before leaving the corporate world. He lived in South Korea and Russia. We have a really interesting conversation up next. He left the corporate world in pursuit of entrepreneurship, opened several several successful companies and now helps people achieve the same success as a coach and mentor. But with mentorship being a fad, why should you trust him? Find out up next. Good morning and welcome to another episode of Smashy Business. We've got someone special here with us in the studios. I'm going to try to go easy on him.
Please do.
His name is Saif Al-Hakim. You've probably heard of him. You've probably seen his podcast. You're not easy to ignore, Saif. You're a success coach and you're an entrepreneur and you're an advisor.
Yeah.
What is a success coach exactly?
Helping people achieve their goals, whatever it is, whatever they set for themselves.
What about your goal?
The point for me, it's a little bit different. I'm like a bull, which means like I never stop. So I have milestones, but I don't have a definite goal. For me, it's kind of an infinite game.
Are you easily triggered as well?
Was. Yeah.
Easily triggered?
Was, I would say.
Not anymore.
No, life teach you.
Life taught. Wow, life teaches you a lot of brutal lessons.
True. So it's these days not, but before I was absolutely an emotional person. So it was an easy catch.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about emotion and business in a little while.
Sure.
And I just want to quickly mention exactly what you've done, or you can do that if you would like to.
Of course, whatever you prefer. Okay, in a nutshell, my name is Saif Al-Hakim. I'm the founder of a movement called the Alpha Movement. I've been in, over the past, I would say 15 plus years, I've been in the corporate life until I reached the CMO position of a tech giant company. Afterwards, an entrepreneur, currently running my portfolio of businesses across different countries. In the sports field, I've been Mr. Olympia 2014 and in the professional team of Kung Fu. So this is me in a nutshell.
Okay, were you the CMO here or
No, Russia?
Russia, okay. Говоришь по-русски?
Конечно.
Да? Okay, wow. Nice, impressive. So you speak fluent Russian?
I speak good Russian.
Good Russian.
And good Korean as well.
Korean as well?
I lived in Korea as well.
And you're originally?
Egyptian.
Egyptian,
then moved with Samsung to South Korea, from South Korea to Russia.
What was it like, living in Russia, and do you do any business with Russia right now? A lot of people are steering clear of that. We had someone from Skyscanner a couple of weeks ago or last month on the show, and I asked for figures about Moscow and GCC travelers to Moscow. They didn't even want to give any figures.
It's harsh now. It's really harsh. I have my contacts over there, of course. I lived over there over 10 years, so it's still, I consider it a base for me. But doing business internationally, it's very tough these days.
I'm not going to ask you what contacts you have in Russia. Good contacts, yeah?
Of course, 10 years.
We'll leave it at that.
10 years.
You call yourself an alpha male.
Yeah.
Your podcast revolves around being an alpha male in business and in life. What is an alpha male exactly? And are you trying to be Dubai's own Andrew Tate?
I'm not trying to be anybody, but to put it in perspective. An alpha, it doesn't need to be a male or a female. It's an alpha. So since history, an alpha is a leader of a pack. The first letter of the Greek alphabet, it's a leader of the pack. So it doesn't need to be a male or a female. Okay, of course, the alpha traits of all times is the negative ones, correct? Which is like the abusive, the controlling behavior, the egocentric, and. But modern days, the alpha traits completely changed. And these are the traits that I embody. And I would love people to embody, either they're males or females. The traits are the alpha traits are being extremely responsible, take tough decisions, fiercely determined, responsible for the loved ones, impactful, influential in the community they live in. These are the kind of traits of an alpha person, not the old ones that we all say no. This being said, if you find me fiercely determined towards my goals and you tell me that you're an egocentric, you're selfish, you wanted to see me in that way. No, but I'm fiercely determined where I'm going. I'm getting what I want. You understand? So you can tell me you're okay, like this yourself is egocentric. Okay, that's how you call it. But it's not. It's about my persistence in getting what I want.
What about Andrew Tate? What are your thoughts on him?
Pluses and minuses, I would say. A guy who did great things with his personal brand.
Yeah.
Do I agree 100% with what he said, what he say or not? Of course, yes and no. So it's not like I'm pro Andrew Tate or negative towards Andrew Tate.
Do you work with individuals? Do you work with startups? What is your focus, and what do people come to you for help with primarily?
Mindset, entrepreneurship skills, and personal branding. These are the three common, I would say common themes or common verticals I work with. I work with individuals, I work with universities, I do group coaching, mentorship one-on-one,
Okay.
different.
Mentorship became a fad for a long time. There were from success coaches to life coaches to business coaches. People stopped taking it that seriously. It lost a little bit of credibility. How do you differentiate yourself?
The problem is, okay, why I believe in mentoring, okay? Because I was a guy, an Egyptian, moving from Egypt to South Korea and then to Russia. Russia is a harsh country and a harsh culture as well.
Tell me about it.
Absolutely. So when I went there, it was pretty tough. I'm a guy coming from South Korea, headquarters of Samsung, top-notchy, with my MBA dual degree, and going into Russia, and the first thing they told me, just go sit over there, do whatever it is. I thought my career is done. And at that time, I had when I got introduced to a mentor. So I had a really great mentor who really, I don't want to say took my hand, but guided me along the path. From that moment, I understood the value of mentorship. So all over my career or my journey, I try to mentor as much as possible people. But the problem with what we see now that people start not to believe is because any second person starts to call himself as a mentor. He did something and is trying to impose it on people that's why he's successful, I will make you successful. No, there are credibility factors, your history, your journey, and success could be luck. Like in a period of time, you got lucky, you became successful. The problem is not becoming successful. It's easy to be successful. The issue is to maintain the success. So when I'm looking for a mentor for me, I have mentors now, of course. I look at the track record of being successful, a sustainable period of being successful, not a spike of success. And that's why I believe a lot of people not buying into it.
That's really interesting, and it's interesting you mentioned Russia, and it really, I'm a half Russian, and when I go there, I feel like I take strength from people because, it's not easy living in Russia. The weather conditions, the political situation, they've always been shunned as a people, so I feel like they just have strong immunity, and they go for it, خلاص, you have to do what you have to do, and you do it no matter the circumstances. But when it comes to, let's talk about entrepreneurship a little bit. We were covering the Web Summit in Qatar. It's a big deal that the Web Summit is happening the first time in the GCC and that they chose Doha. The atmosphere was amazing. Today is the last day. A lot of entrepreneurs there. We had the Replit CEO, Amjad Mas'ad. We had Fatih Ghandour. When it comes to entrepreneurship, what are the pain points that people come to you with? And why did you opt out of the Web Summit Qatar?
Okay, opt out, it's because the schedule is pretty tight. Okay. The second thing about entrepreneurship. I'll tell you one thing that I would love all aspiring entrepreneurs to listen to me in this. The concept of being an entrepreneur is a really tough thing. It's not something easy that people jump into it.
But it's also become a trend, right?
Of course, but become a trend because of what they see, the flashy part of it, okay? But the harsh part, they don't see it. I like to explain entrepreneurship in a way that you wake up every morning, doing some things, and you never know when it's gonna work. On the other side, a lot of entrepreneurs are getting into entrepreneurship because of motivation. I want to do something, okay? You're being extremely motivated, inspired to do things. But the problem with entrepreneurship, it's not about the motivation. I always say it's not a motivation. It is, to be a good entrepreneur, it has to be, you need to follow the design for success, not just only to be motivated. In an analogy form, have you ever seen a pilot sitting in the cockpit, clapping for the plane to fly?
No.
Like fly, fly, fly. No, right? It's because of the plane is designed to fly. Have you seen a driver sitting in a Picanto car trying to drive at 200 kilometers per hour? No, because Picanto is not designed to drive at 200 kilometers per hour. It's exactly in business the same. There is a model that works and it's deemed to succeed. Okay? It's about the product ecosystem, the system and structure, the process. It positions it to succeed. A lot of entrepreneurs are moving into the direction of, I want to do it, it's my passion, and that's it. It doesn't work this way.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. Is it, before we look into that point and talk about it a little bit more, is it mostly men you work with, or do you work with women as well? What is the ratio?
Majority is men. Like I would say like 60-40.
Do you think your brand turns women off of working with you?
Could be by the name, which I'm trying to position it as. We started and I said like an alpha could be a male and could be a female.
Okay.
But of course, it's by the name itself. It's it can turn off people.
Okay. There was the STEP conference as well. I mean, a lot of events are happening in the region, and it's great to see that. But when it comes to entrepreneurs, what everyone is talking about, the hot topic, if you will, right now is raising a lot of money, burning investor money. The funding has slowed down globally because of the interest rates, other factors, at play. Is that one of the main pain points as well that you see? What advice would you give entrepreneurs out there? I mean, and think about it, if investors are giving X couple million dollars to, 25-year-olds, 24-year-olds, how responsible can we expect them to be?
Okay, number one, money's everywhere, so it's easy to get money. Okay, so it's like slowing down or not slowing down, it's a different topic, but money's everywhere. It's always a couple of conversations away from you, the resources that you need. As the entrepreneurship is a hot and a trending topic, of course, a lot of people just have ideas, jump in front of investors, trying to raise money, and so the amount of entrepreneurship or startups are a lot. It comes to the investor side, how to invest in which project. And that's the thing, it's not the fault of the entrepreneurs. Everybody wakes up in the morning, have an idea. I always say the idea is worth nothing, because it's about the execution and getting it into reality, sustainable at the end as well. So I always say it's on the investor. He has certain criterias to invest money. Nobody's giving money for the sake of giving money. So what are your criterias in giving hundreds of people in front of you your money to invest? It's an investor fault, not an entrepreneur fault. Entrepreneur fault is just because they think it's a quick money, it's a nice lifestyle. It's not.
That's the thing, right? And a lot of entrepreneurs, well, I wouldn't say a lot of, but we've had instances, and we're gonna put out an exclusive story about one specific startup that shut down. The founder was paying himself, a very high salary. I'm just curious as to what people come to you for advice on. What are the main mistakes that you would tell someone, an entrepreneur? Because a lot of these startups stop paying their staff, after raising.
True.
You have all of these X startup raised X amount of million, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's great. But then a year later, and it's staff are not paid, there's no market fit, no product market fit, blah, blah, blah. It's a fad, people get affected. The entrepreneurs also need to take responsibility.
True, 100%. But again, okay, let's look at from different, what are the common mistakes? Burning cash on unneeded things, okay?
Yeah.
A great office, a great marketing image, paying the founders first. These are all the common mistakes.
If you're a good founder, do you agree that you would pay yourself last?
Of course. I need the business to last. And in order to make a business in general, business is about people. So I need to make my team earn first.
You would be surprised how many founders don't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Because they get into it from a different angle. There are two different type of people. I'm doing the business for a particular vision that I want to reach. Okay, there's the objective of the project. There are some people enter entrepreneurship for the lifestyle. Okay, I'm an entrepreneur, so I need to pay myself first. I need to look good in front of media.
Yeah.
But totally different angles. So, but the common problem is burning the cash.
Why should people go to you as a mentor? Why are you a good mentor? A lot of people call themselves coaches, life coaches. As we said, it's a trend. Why you?
I used to have a vice president in Samsung who used to tell me one thing: seeing is believing, correct? So I don't come and say I'm good because I just say I'm good. I say I'm good because my track record says I'm good. Like in the corporate ladder, I've reached top of the ladder. Entrepreneurship ladder, running my own businesses, I've reached, I would say, a great level, I would say. And it's proven. On the sports level, I've reached the pinnacle as well. So track records, results speaks. And it's sustainable again. It's not like a one-click thing. Both corporate career over 10 years.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship, 7+ years. Sports forever.
Absolutely. How important is it to incorporate sports into your lifestyle? Because we were talking with Richard about this the other day. How important is it to have that discipline when it comes to sports? And
I'll tell you, it's the best thing that ever I enrolled myself in. I don't want to say like in a words that people can take it wrong, but it makes you a totally different animal. It teaches you discipline, perseverance, never back down. From sports, I believe one of the traits that sports made it to me super deep is that I accept and I love challenges.
right.
I was in like fighting sports and I was in regular fitness sports. Both made me, I love challenge. I thrive on a challenge. Challenge doesn't push me back. So plus the discipline, plus, it's the best thing that I love people to enroll in it.
Do people come to you with problems, stress problems? Like we had a sleep expert on the show a couple of weeks ago, and she works with everyone from toddlers to, 60, 70, 50-year-old CEOs who can't sleep from the stress. And I actually worked on a story last year about CEOs in Dubai and high-level execs addicted to sleeping pills, addicted to Xanax. One of them said, it's like a Panadol in my bag, in my pocket, in my bag, in my car. It's everywhere. I just pop a pill. And one of the headlines was, and this is what one of the people told me, he said, my doctor said, if you don't take Xanax, you're going to end up having a heart attack. And he said, I would rather have a Xanax addiction than have a heart attack. Do you get people like that, or do you get more of a younger crowd?
No, actually, both crowds. But for me, stress is a byproduct of what we're doing in life. So you're not running away from it. It's how you cope with it. It's what differentiates people. And I always say to people, going to like drugs, drinking, whatever it is, it's not the way of doing it. For me, I'm stressed, always stressed, okay? But stress means that I'm outside of my comfort zone.
Sure.
Okay?
Sure.
So I know that I'm
It's
growing.
life, right?
True, and it's outside of your comfort zone. So I'm growing 100%. So I accept this. How do I deal with my stress? I have a couple of rituals, and everybody's different. Some people meditate. Some people do yoga. Some people do running. Iron Man, Richard, of course, it's a way of coping with his stress.
Sure.
The same for me. I have my sports. I have my reading rituals. It takes away stress from me. I have my walking rituals. So there are a couple of rituals that you can cultivate that takes away the stress from you. Not drugs, not drinking. For me, like I don't want to label, but it's the easy way. Taking the pill, taking the drinks, it's the easy way.
Sure.
Then if you decide to take the easy way.
Disclaimer, prescribed drugs.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Of course.
So you rely on sports, and you're being very diplomatic, because I'm trying to find out exactly who is your target audience, and some of the main
20, I would say
main
20 to
points.
35. Like if you were talking
20 to 35.
20 to 35.
Okay.
Majority.
Interesting number, because you had X amount of years experience in corporate. You were around that same age group. How old were you when you went into entrepreneurship? When you launched your own business?
Okay. I'll tell you a story, because I started my entrepreneurship journey way when I was in corporate.
While you were in corporate?
Exactly.
Okay.
And why this happened? When I was in South Korea, I moved from Egypt to South Korea through a challenge. I didn't want to go. So it was through a challenge. I took the challenge, went to South Korea, became part of Samsung. And when I was in Samsung, I was in a high flyer. I was in a super duper person in Samsung. After a couple of years, HR called me and said, Saif, it's time to go back to Egypt. Okay? And at that time, I didn't want to go back. Why? Because I love the international exposure, the experience, and I wanted to continue. Plus, I see all the appreciation coming from my management. So I looked at the HR and I told them, I'm not going anywhere, I'm staying in Korea. Why? Because my VPs, executives want Saif to be in headquarters. The guy whispered into my ear, said, Saif, put your ego down, I can replace you with an empty chair in 2 seconds.
Wow.
And this completely changed my life. I said, I will never be replaced again. Even by people. In my work, partners, relationships, whatever it is. So I do everything that I will never feel that I can be replaced. Which means, in other perspective, when I was in corporate, when I was in Russia, I was doing my, I would say, parallel businesses, testing my hands, okay? I'm always personally developing myself. I have, since that day, years, 10 plus years back, I'm every day, 2 hours in the morning, I'm personally developing myself in whatever skill that I need to achieve my goals, every single day. So I took this as a wake-up call, Saif, take care. You don't be replaced. And it's easy to be replaced these days. But what we're trying to do is not to be, because at the end we are humans, we're equal as souls, correct? But we're not equal in the marketplace.
Sure.
So it depends on what you do, your value. So going back to the entrepreneurship, I was always trying, testing different businesses. From having my own supplement brand, clothes, cross-trading, electronics trading, whatever, even when I was in Samsung.
Okay.
I'm not contradicting because conflict of interest, absolutely off the Samsung business.
No, I like that very much because they do say everyone is replaceable.
True.
You're saying that, no, actually, you don't have to be replaceable.
Exactly. Doing your best not to be. Doing your best not to be.
Let's talk about the entrepreneurship ecosystem here. It's changed a lot. I've said this multiple times on the show. I've mentioned his name. He really is truly a mentor. Fadi Ghandour. We saw him at the Web Summit 2 days ago. And I asked him, does he think that Souk and Kareem sold out, and should they have, gone through with the acquisition, or was it a mistake? And he said, everyone loves saying that. Everyone loves saying Kareem could have continued and actually, pushed Uber out of the market. And then listed on its own. Same thing with Souk, with Amazon. Then he said, but the funding wasn't there. Nobody wanted to fund these startups. Is it changing? How is it changing? What is the main change that you see in the ecosystem?
Where we stay right now, Dubai, okay? It is the most or the best place on earth now for the startup ecosystem. And you can see it from it's changing and it's evolving over time, 100% it's evolving over time. You can see from the government, the funding, even the accelerators, from corporate support, international investments, all these come under one umbrella and it's happening in Dubai. Every entity in this country is pushing for this ecosystem to flourish. And they're positioning it as a hub at the end of the day. It's one of the objectives to be a hub for that. Yeah. Different cities around the world or countries even close by are trying to mimic this. And okay, they have the capabilities but Dubai is the leading in it. UAE is leading in it. Yes, it's evolving over time, 100% evolving, strengthening, 100%. The amount of accelerators in Dubai, it's impressive.
And Abu Dhabi now as well.
UAE in general.
Yeah.
It's impressive. Support from, look, they understand the value of entrepreneurs and startups in the overall economy of the country.
Sure.
It pushes the economy. And that's why when they do things here in UAE, they do it at the top level. So all the entities around, from the government, from the corporate, from even international investors, collecting international investors, they put all these together to make it as a hub. And they're really doing it in the best way possible.
Dubai is becoming a little bit of a little Moscow. We've got a lot of Russians coming here.
There are areas even like called Little Moscow.
Exactly. Are you working with a lot of Russians? And because of your experience in Russia, how helpful have you found it with the language barrier? You know, Russians don't like speaking English much. True. How has it been for you?
It's amazing, really amazing. No, you know, like when spending 10 years in Russia, it's, I would say like I'm kind of half Russian. So a lot of my contacts here are Russian, a lot of my clients are Russians. It's, if I go to Blue Waters, for example, it's all Russians.
Exactly.
So it's,
exactly.
And still like people who want, still people coming from Russia now, even to do business in Dubai, they contact me for that as well.
And how are they finding the ecosystem? What is there?
It's amazing. You know, the best thing is also their community is getting bigger here.
Yeah.
So they feel home.
Yeah.
By nature, Russians are travelers. You know, they're not the type of countries that they were not traveling before. They were traveling all over, so they're used to traveling.
Right.
But now they're traveling and they're having their own community. Community is getting bigger. I don't remember the last stats. How many? Half M, I believe, 500,000 Russians. Right? It's a huge community.
It's a great. You really do have an advantage when it comes to that because of the language, and it's quite important. I want to ask you about your corporate experience because you know we mentioned this on the show before. Mazen from House of Pops said it was really, really important for him to have corporate experience before launching a startup, and he warned entrepreneurs not to, you know, follow someone who set up something in California in a garage and now is a unicorn because that's not the norm. Do you notice that with the people who come to you for mentoring, and how important was your corporate experience?
True. Okay, there is no right and wrong answer, okay? But if you ask Safe, what is the best thing for you? Like if I recommend, 100% I'll tell people go to corporate for a couple of years and then build your own thing. Why? It's easy to see how the process goes, the systems are set. If I want to open a marketing agency, work in a marketing agency for a couple of years, see everything inside out, the business model, get the process, get the contacts, know how to speak, to negotiate, communicate within this industry, and then do this on your own afterwards. That's one thing, and which I recommend. The second route, which comes the mentorship part. You can do this on your own, but make sure you have the right guidance by your side. Like a person that walked this path before can tell you how to lay the bricks correctly. So there is no right and wrong answer, but the easiest way and the best way to do it is go through corporate and then, or go work with an entrepreneur.
Right.
I mean a person who really, which means that be the second person in command. You have an entrepreneur running, he has a vision that you subscribe to, build the thing with him, see how things go. It's not that easy. Then you can go on your own afterwards.
I have so many more questions,
Sure.
but we are running out of time. It's been a pleasure, Saif. If you can give one line to the listeners and the viewers right now, you're a success coach. Give us one line about success, or maybe a favorite quote, or something someone told you.
I always love to say to people, do your best to be better every single day, regardless the goal that you have ahead. Develop yourself every single day. Which a statement that I love to say, rack wins every day. So work on yourself every day, get better every single day. The compounded interest of it is absolutely amazing, and you will be impressed with the results.
Absolutely, and you don't have to be at 100% every single day,
True.
right? Sometimes you're just giving your 50% and just showing up
Just
is
get
enough.
better every single day. Whatever it is, how big, how small, just you know that better, 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 in a compounded way, it's going to be to the sky.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. You see, Saif, I showed up today for you,
of course,
for the show, for the listeners, for the viewers.
I appreciate it. It's been amazing, really, and I love the conversation. I think a lot of nuggets were out of this conversation. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. The real conversation is going to happen behind closed doors when the cameras turn off.
Done. Done.
Thank you, guys. Listen, you know where to find us now. I've mentioned it many times on all podcast platforms. Do opt for Anghami, though. We love to support a local homegrown business. Anghami, Apple Podcasts. Spotify, and watch us stream this episode on smashy.tv.